Are you tired of all those wimpy pussy horror movies out there? Well, get ready for a movie that has balls. We watched Phantasm, a movie that features two metallic flying killer balls. We watched it so you don't have to, so you know what time it is.
Horror, so bad it's scary. Splitting up is never okay. Plot needs it. Don't turn on the lights. Cars don't ever start, but that's alright. Running upstairs instead of out the door. Good acting, what do we need that for? Horrible horror, so bad it's scary. Enjoy the show, but not really.
Greetings, Moon Goons! Welcome to Horrible Horror, the podcast where we watch the worst of the worst in horror movies. Movies so bad they're scary. I'm your host, Marshall Hampton. With me again, as always, well, almost always, is my good friend co-host, Mr. Aaron Southworth.
Hey, how's it going? And I had the feeling we're going to have some maybe some hate mail perhaps coming our way.
That's a good point. I was going to comment on that later, but...
I mean, we got our good friend over at the Horror Syndicate, Ray Merrick. He got a hold of us when he saw that we posted this. He private messaged me and he's like, dude, you may not want to touch this one. You know, it's a little weird, but people really love this movie.
Yeah, see, I missed that message. I didn't even see that one. I didn't know about that. But speaking of the movie, yeah, we're taking on the movie Phantasm. This movie was released, well, we're going to ODB.
ODB, when was this movie come out?
Let's do it like this. I'm gonna rub your ass in the moonshine. Let's take it back to 79.
Yep, thank you very much, ODB. This movie was released on June 1st, 1979.
Yes, it's older than I am.
Yeah, it is older than you are. Not by much, but
yeah.
It is. It was written and directed by Don Coscarelli. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. So the fans out there are going to know how to
they're
pronounce it.
throwing stuff at their radios right now. Yeah.
They're probably just already turning this off. But you can. It's found easily a lot of places. It's found on Amazon, YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, and Vudu for streaming purposes.
We can also be found on Google Play, iTunes. You can check us at horriblehorror.com. Yeah, nice segue. Thank you.
Nice.
Also, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at So Bad It's Scary.
Way to plug there, Gary.
Boom!
Boom. Plugged. All right. Cast-wise, there's nobody really worth talking about in the cast except for Reggie Bannister.
Right.
Who, to me, he's the one person who kind of seemed to go on to have the biggest career out of all this. He plays Reggie, the ice cream man.
Right, how convenient.
Yeah, very convenient. And then Jody, the character of Jody is played by Bill Thornberry, who also is in Phantasm 3, 4, and 5, along with Angus Scrim, who plays the main protagonist or antagonist, the tall man.
Yeah.
Of course, he went on to do the rest of the sequels as well in the series. But that's really about it. The rest I didn't really see much worth noting in the rest of the cast. We're just gonna we'll move on to the movie. And this movie is so weird. Like it's
real trippy.
It's real trippy.
Yeah. It's a trippy movie. Definitely. And one thing I'm gonna think we're gonna have some problem with is the lack of dialogue. There's just not a lot of dialogue in this movie.
It's very
visual.
Very visual.
And of course, being an audio show, sorry guys.
We'll do our best to describe.
We'll try and paint the picture for you.
Yeah. So it opens in a cemetery where this guy and this girl are just having sex amongst the gravestones. So that's your kickoff right there. Just
nice kickoff.
Just two people banging in a cemetery.
Yeah, and it kind of made me think of Poltergeist a little bit.
Really?
That opening scene in Poltergeist when the guy's banging the chick, but then of course hands come up and fingers go up butts.
Oh, Poltergeist, yes.
Just had to throw that one out
fingers
there.
Go up the butt.
Yeah. But nothing like that.
I forgot about that opening scene. Oh my god. Oh no, that's a movie.
Yeah.
So the guy's name in the opening scene is Tommy. And soon as the sex is over, like immediately after he's busting
like,
out,
that was great, baby.
Yeah, she goes all like Sharon Stone, basic instinct on him, and just kills the guy with the knife. Just right off the bat.
And he just, man, he looks like they're having either like opioid-induced sex
Yeah.
because it is slow and low and just.
Yeah,
baby, that was great. He's just about to pass out, and then she just stabs him, and he's like,
Ugh. Yeah, and the sex looks so boring and like not like it was looks so bad, like not
like
pleasant.
I said,
It
just like Xanax sex.
yeah. And then she stands there. She holds up this knife.
for a good couple seconds.
Yeah, and then like he doesn't even move. Or he's like, oh okay, and then he just gets a slow stab. He's like,
Ugh.
And the other weird thing about this is like it's weird. Like they just finished having sex. She's topless. She's holding the knife in one hand, but for some reason she felt necessary to cover up one boob
She just
with her
wanted-
other hand.
Feel that booby while she's stabbing.
Yeah.
Just that extra little tweak of pleasure.
It's just weird. Like why do you feel the need to cover up one boob
Yeah.
while you're killing? I don't know. It's weird.
She wanted to cup her booby.
So now the camera goes into this like really choppy like zooming effect where it's just like it's cutaway zooms, and the woman's face is quickly then it flashes between her face and then it changes to the tall man who is like this older gray haired man, and so it's like kind of like this girl's really a guy or guy. It's really fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get what that's what they're doing. I guess it's the 79. It's if that's the effect they were going for. Ugh.
Yeah, it's kind of confused. Like what? Like yeah. So we jump now to Tommy's funeral, which the movie makes it seem like it's the very next morning, but there's no way to be that quick. But it seems to be. And this is where we meet Jody and Reggie, the two main characters, and they were friends of Tommy. And during this conversation, Reggie says it's hard to believe that Tommy killed himself. And again, this is really fucking weird because why would people think he killed himself? Because not many people commit suicide by stabbing themselves multiple times in the chest.
Yeah, that's usually not the way to go.
I mean, this must be a really shitty police forensic team or coroner is like, yeah, I think he just killed himself. He like multiple stab him to the chest.
Either that or Tommy's that hardcore.
Yeah.
You know, he's
or
just
he
like,
had like really big, what was it, Sobaku or
Supeku.
Supeku, thank you. He just rich honor killing for himself.
Keep going. That's some tough living.
Yeah, so Jody enters the mausoleum, which, by the way, this place is huge. I mean, it is fucking massive. Everything is marble.
It looks awesome.
It does. It does look good, but the way the movie shoots it, it makes it look like the mausoleum is inside the funeral house itself.
Yeah.
Which again is a weird thing because that's not the case. Mausoleums are
But-
never like part of the funeral house.
Exactly,
Funeral
but
parlor.
that's exactly what I got. Is
Yeah.
that it's inside this? It's a big house, but basically the mausoleum is in the house.
Yeah.
and that's how it's portrayed throughout the whole movie because they keep going in there.
Yeah.
and then
It's-
later they're in that scene, but that's
It's
not
really-
how they work.
Yeah, it's never had. They're a standalone.
Standalone,
Thing.
yeah.
It's so weird. And it's just utterly ridiculous. So after a while of walking around, Jody finds his parents' tomb, which also happens to be in this mausoleum. And outside is Mike, who's the younger brother who's riding his dirt bike through the cemetery.
What a dick!
Exactly. Thank you. He's just riding over people's graves with impunity. He's like, I don't give a shit.
No rest for the dead when I got my dirt bike. Kawasaki!
So his engine just dies, and while he tries to start it back up, he starts hearing like these strange noises, and the camera shows some kind of small brown thing ducked behind a tombstone.
Yeah, making kind of noises.
Like, really
yeah.
weird guttural kind of primitive primal noises. And the back of the mausoleum, Jody too begins to hear these strange sounds, and he's wandering around the mausoleum as the sounds he continues to hear them, but he sees nothing. He's just hearing all this stuff, but nothing's seen. And suddenly, a hand claps on his shoulder. Jody spins around to see the tall man standing behind him, and the tall man just says, "The funeral is about to begin," and that's it. So we go to the funeral, which again, shot. You can tell the funeral itself is obviously being held in a church, but again, this must be the most elaborate funeral home in the world because this is also inside the funeral home, supposedly.
Right. It's a big place, but it's not that fucking
Yeah,
big.
there's not a cathedral in this funeral home. So Reggie mentions to Joey that it's good for his younger brother not to see Tommy like this because he had nightmares for weeks after his parents' funeral. So just a little background exposition.
So
there.
yeah, so we got that, Jody and Mike's parents are dead.
And it also sets that seed of doubt, like, oh, he's having nightmares, so it kind of says like what's real, what's not type thing later. Back outside, Mike crawls out like a commando. He crawls out from under a bush with a pair of binoculars.
Sure.
And he watches Reggie and Jody and the rest of the pallbearers carry the casket from the hearse to the gravesite, and he watches the whole ceremony this way. And again, I just want, where does he get the goddamn binoculars? Because we see him earlier, and he's got nothing. He's just riding his dirt bike through the graveyard, and now all of a sudden he has binoculars, and they're small.
Big.
They're gigantic.
They're really big.
They're huge.
But this is a problem that you have all the time.
I do.
You cannot stand it when they just come up with a prop and you don't see it coming along.
Yeah.
That drives you nuts.
It does drive me. It should drive people nuts. Like, first of all, if you're going to have binoculars, how hard would it be just to have them, like, thrown over his shoulder or, or something like that while he's riding his bike or pull out of a bag? No, they just don't make things magically appear. It's ridiculous. So, after the funeral, Mike watches the tall man load Tommy's casket back into the hearse.
So he watches the funeral. The funeral's done, and Tommy must have been not a very popular guy because goddamn, there's like 6 people there.
Yeah.
Funeral's done. Everyone leaves. The tall man kind of looks back and forth, and he says, "Let's get out of here, man. It's creepy. I don't like this feeling." So everyone leaves. Tall man's all by himself, and he picks up the casket all by himself and throws it back into the
hearse.
Yeah,
and earlier it took like 6 to 8 men to carry it. So we fade out and we fade in on Tommy walking alone down a road, and he heads to the local fortune teller's house because every small town has a local fortune teller.
Yep.
The gypsy woman.
And apparently he's been here before.
Apparently.
This is not his first rodeo.
No, it is not his first rodeo.
Yeah, this is his old hat for him.
So the fortune teller's granddaughter answers the door and leads Mike back to this dark candlelit room.
Who is like, what, she's 16?
She's
got a tattoo, a small tattoo of a star on her face.
Yeah, a star on her cheek, on her right cheek, I believe it is.
Kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Kind of hot.
And so, again, it's just like this candlelit room, which is tons of candles. I don't get. I mean, they have electricity in this house, so why is this candlelit room?
But it creates scenery, Marshall. It's how you get in touch with the beyond. Is have the candlelit spooky room.
Yeah,
I kind of liked it. I liked it. I thought it looked cool.
There were nearly 50 candles in this scene. And
please tell me you counted them.
I did.
Yes.
I just said I counted. And I mean, it just seemed like a fire waiting to happen.
Fire hazard.
Because you have this old fortune teller seems like she's blind. Like she's wearing sunglasses in the house. She's obviously like
completely
a blind
blacked
woman.
out sunglasses.
So she's wearing sunglasses indoors, and if she's blind, then why all the candles need to be lit in the room because she can't see anyway. And then in that case, why do you have a blind woman in a wheelchair in a room full of lit candles that can easily? It's just a fire waiting to happen.
Awesome. That's how Starface likes to hang out, I guess.
Starface. Star Child. She's from Kiss.
Likes to dress up grandma like she's a fucking pilgrim.
Yeah.
And light some candles.
But speaking of grandma, she too. She has the same tattoo, only it's like right in her fucking forehead. Like Charles, instead of a swastika on Manson, it's a star right in her forehead.
These are birthmarks, right?
Yeah, they're birthmarks. So, Mike tells the fortune teller that he found out that Jody is going to leave again. And that's where we cut to. And it goes to Mike and Jody working on Jody's muscle car. And one of Jody's old friends pulls up and they talk. And basically we learn that it's been 2 years since the death of Jody and Mike's parents. And that Jody has been out on the road for a while. I'm like, and what does that even mean? He's just out on the road.
Out on the road,
so
dude.
Their parents have died. And he's just leaving his younger brother alone, unattended, while he's out on the road. I mean, is this guy supposed to be like a Knight Rider or something? Because he's driving around in his muscle car going place to place,
solving crimes,
helping people where needed. And it's like it just shows up again. So Joey tells his friends that he plans on leaving Mike at their aunt's house, and he's gonna leave him there. But Mike won't like that. But he's gonna suck it up.
He's a good kid, but I gotta get back out there on
I
the
gotta
road.
get back on that road. And we learn that Mike's supposed to be 13 in this movie, but the kid looks 16. I mean, there's no way this kid's 13.
Unless he's like a jack, 13-year-old, you know?
And next it shows Jody riding a sweet 10-speed with the handlebars inverted as Mike's chasing after him.
Hopping fences.
And
trying to keep up with him.
While we hear Jody in voiceover talking about how Mike seems to know when Jody plans to leave all the time and how Mike's always following Jody around. So, again, it's like the lost puppy dog thing.
Yeah.
I just also found it was weird that they've already showed that Mike has a sweet, like, muscle car, but now they're showing him in this crappy, like, little 10-speed. Like,
Sometimes you got to
why?
ride your bike. Sometimes you just got to get a little exercise, get those legs pumping, I guess.
And now we're back to the fortune teller's house, so I'm guessing that's supposed to be a flashback?
Or him communicating or talking. Yeah, it's got to be a flashback or some sort of foreshadowing. This happens throughout the movie.
Yeah.
It's not an uncommon thing that happens, is that the movie kind of has some choppy editing. You can't really tell if it's the next scene or if it's a flashback or if it's something maybe that's going to happen. It's kind of hard to follow.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
I mean, it's not the worst we've seen, but it's definitely like, what? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm right there with. I 100% agree with you.
And I don't know if it's just because it's an old movie. You know, I mean, it's like coming up on 40 years old.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's part of it. Very well could be.
It could be. So we go back. So we're back to the funeral, and the granddaughter says to Mike, "Grandmother says not to worry. That if he does leave, he will take you with him." And so apparently she's not only blind, but she can speak telepathically with her
Because Grandma ain't
granddaughter.
saying shit.
She's not saying shit.
Grandma ain't saying a goddamn
No,
thing.
Her mouth's not moving. She's just sitting there, and granddaughter looks at her, kind of, and then he relays this message to Mike.
So they got a little telepathy going on
Yeah,
there.
which again is just it's so fucking weird. There's so much going on in this movie. So Mike then changes the subject and tells him that tells her about what he saw at the funeral, about the tall man and the casket and all that. And we get another flashback, and we see Mike rushing back to his dirt bike after watching the tall man load the casket back in the hearse. He's speeding off through the cemetery again. The binoculars have magically disappeared again. They're gone. And the camera kind of shows the tall man watching Mike speed away through the cemetery, and the tall man kind of just turns his head,
kind of cocks his head quickly.
Yeah, and then suddenly Mike is just thrown off of his dirt bike. So now that we can also assume the tall man has telepathic powers as well.
Something, yeah, because it knocks Mike over. Mike's okay. He kind of he's a little shaken, but he's all right.
Yeah, nothing really happens. Nothing happens because the very next shot is just him riding his dirt bike down the road and off back home or something like that. And back to the fortune teller's house, the granddaughter whispers in the old man, in the old woman's ear, says to Mike that grandmother wants to play a game. And then just
Boggle?
Yeah, Boggle, Yahtzee maybe. And then just this black box just again literally magically appears.
Magically appears in
out of
front of
thin air.
Mike, and
Yeah.
he's like, cool.
Like not like what the fuck? Where'd that come from? Just all right, cool. I'm down.
Well, like you said, maybe he's been here a couple of times. He knows, like, okay, cool.
Cool.
The box is back. All right.
So Mike then just sticks his hand into the box. It's like a roach trap box. It's not open on top, it's open on the end. He just sticks his hand
Yeah, and
into
then she's like, put your hand in the box. He's like, what? She's like, go ahead, just put your hand. What's in there? Just put your hand in the box. Puts his hand in the box. It clamps down. It kind of
It comes to life as soon as he puts his hand in there.
Kind of clamps on. Something's holding. He's like, ow, that hurts. Oh, and he's trying to get off. And the hippie star girl is just going, don't fear. Don't fear.
Michael. Don't fear.
Jeez.
This, oh my God. Thank you for saying, because the acting in this scene is fucking awful.
I mean, Mike's not doing a bad job.
Not that bad, but the daughter
Starface,
is Star Child is so goddamn emotionless, dull, and boring.
But to be perfectly honest, I think it kind of worked in the scene. Like, because she was just being very calm and trying to not get excited or show emotion. Just don't fear, be blank. That's kind of what I got.
I understand that's what, if you go for it, but it's still the way, because it's not even just this don't fear, but it's like this entire scene with her, all of her lines, like she's just very robotic and monotone the entire scene, this time in the fortune teller's house. It's just very bad. And Mike eventually does relax, and the box just lets go of his hand. And the granddaughter, Star Child, says it was simply a reflection that fear is the killer, and that's what grandmother wanted him to learn. So like, what? And so Mike just like, whatever. He drops some cash on the table and leaves.
Here's a $5. Drops it on the box.
The box disappears
with the money.
So.
Huh?
Yes.
Like, I get the box. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just say, sure, the box can appear and disappear, but apparently it also takes money with it.
Yeah, apparently.
It's like, I got to make that dollar. Yeah.
I gotta Make that money. Make that money. Um,
And Mike leaves, and then Grandma and
starts
Starface
laughing.
start snickering. They're like,
yeah. It's like, what
Like,
is...
oh, that was great. That was a great joke.
So, okay, is this whole thing... Are they just...
Are they evil?
shysters? Are they like scam artists? But so have magical powers to make a box appear and disappear?
Didn't take his money.
Take his money? Like, why is she laughing? Like, what is going on? So Reggie, now we go to Reggie and Jody. They're having like a little guitar jam session on the front porch.
Jam sesh. This is where you see Reggie's an ice cream man.
Yeah.
He pulls up in his ice cream truck. He's got the classic white pants, white shirt, bow tie.
Yeah, bow tie.
But he still loves rock and guitar.
Rock and roll.
Man, they rock pretty good. They're pretty good.
Yeah, you can tell Reggie like literally plays the
He knows
guitar.
how to play.
Yeah. And for some reason, Jody's wearing like this hat that looks like it's from the 1800s. It looks so out. It's just so out of place to me, and it was really odd.
Yeah.
Like, because it's the only time anybody in this movie ever wears a hat, and it's such a weird choice that's the hat that they go
It was
with.
the 70s. I don't know.
So, now there's a quick scene of some blonde girl at the mausoleum, and it might be Star Child, but I can't really tell because I can't see she's shot from the side without the tattoo
I
on.
thought it was Star Child.
Did you think
yes,
so too?
I think it was Star Child.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it, I didn't even notice the scene. Then I was like, oh, is that Star Child? Like, but you have no reason or idea why she's there. She
None.
just shows up, and then she's in the mausoleum, and she opens this door.
White light.
White light
Just
comes out.
spilling out of the room.
She screams, and it cuts away to the Dunes Cantina bar. So why she's there, we have no idea.
What's
Something
in there?
happens to her,
Don't
no
know.
idea. It's just, to me, that's just
Weird scene.
Wasted. It's like pointless to even have in this movie. So Mike pulls up at the bar, and Jody pulls up and goes inside, and outside we see Mike spying on him through the window.
Sneaking around,
Yeah.
lost puppy dog.
And again, this bothers me because if Jody, we see this like in real time. Jody pulls up in his car, gets out, goes inside, and seriously, like 2 seconds after he goes inside, up comes Mike, watching through the window. How the fuck does Mike keep up with a car on foot? It doesn't.
I've got nothing.
Yeah.
I've got nothing. I got nothing.
So Joey chats up this blonde woman sitting at the bar, and
Oh,
God-
just happens to be the same woman that stabbed Tommy.
yes. And he must be the smoothest talker in history because as soon as he sits down next to her, he says something to her, and then the two of them go off together.
Either that or she's crazy for the D.
Probably that too, but it's like, seriously, it's like he says one word and they're like going off the fuck.
Coccicidal maniac.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
So they exit the bar. They walk off. Mike follows them again back to the cemetery, and he's creeping from gravestone to gravestone, trying to stay hidden. And Jody and the woman start making out on the ground behind some tombstone, and we see some boobs for a quick moment. She pulls her dress up.
Which I do love because Jody's putting the moves on. They're laying down. He takes off her top, and Mike's in the back, and he goes, "Whoa!" And then Jody goes, "Whoa!" It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I get it. I know.
You're doing everything so smooth.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for Mike to reply.
I
To
get it,
go,
'cause he's a kid,
He's a
you know,
kid.
he's
He's
like,
like,
"Oh,
yeah,
boobs."
boobs. But then you're
For Jody?
you're 24, 25 years old.
Act like
you
you're-
take off that top. Whoa.
Act like you're a kid for the first time seeing boobs.
Jesus.
I would swear that would kill the movie. Like if some woman's like takes opportunity, I would. Whoa! I think she'd be like, all right.
That's it.
That's all right. We're
All
done.
right,
here.
wrapping it up.
I'm going. So,
that's a.
so Mike, who's still watching all this from the shadows and the bushes, hears the sound of twigs snapping, followed by the sound of snarling and something moving in the brush behind him. He wanders off in search of whatever this is, and then from out of the bushes,
Yeah, he leaves. Sex scenes.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, it's a little weird. He's watching his brother pound a girl, but whatever. He wants to see boobs.
Yeah, yeah.
And he hears some noises, and instead of being like, "Fuck it, I'm watching this,"
Yeah.
he goes to investigate.
Yeah, let me go find out these mystery noises, or even like
Deep in the deep in the bushes.
Yeah, like even like I can understand like, okay, I'm hearing something, shit, I don't want to miss it, but I'd be like, all right, time to get out of here. then.
Yeah.
Like not to go investigate and find out further into dark woods what's going on. It's time to get out of here. Let's just go home. So and then something wearing like a brown hooded cloak, just like rushes out from the bushes. Mike takes off running and screaming. He runs right past Jody and the woman. Jody pops his head up, and he's holding the woman's panties in his mouth. And he's like, wait here, that was my little brother.
He's like, what the heck? He's holding the panties in his teeth the whole time he's talking.
Yes, he is.
So he's talking like this. What the heck? That was my brother. He's got problems. He's still putting on his clothes, holding the panties in his teeth the whole time.
Exactly.
It's like, man, that guy's... He loves some panties.
He loves some panties.
Must be his thing. He's like, I'm taking these home.
Souvenirs.
Yeah.
So Jody rushes off after Mike. Yeah, still holding the panties in his mouth while trying to pull up his pants at the same time he's running. He catches up with Mike. Mike tells him that he saw something and it was going to get him. And Mike describes it as little, brown, and low to the ground. Jody's just like, oh, it was a gopher. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like it's a gopher.
So Jody gives Mike the keys to his car and tells him to go home.
That's why I think he'd be better if he was 16.
Yeah, like this
he
is
looks
1979.
16. He looks like he can barely drive, but he
sure,
looks like he's legal age to drive.
I'm pretty sure in 79 the legal driving age was not 13 years old.
No.
This is ridiculous.
But, maybe they live out in the middle of nowhere.
I mean,
it's not that big
it's
deal.
a small town, but still, like, who
I
gives
let
the
it
keys
slide.
to a 13-year-old to drive their car?
I let it slide. Because they work on the car together and stuff. I mean,
Yeah. So Mike leaves. Jody
He's
goes.
the cool brother.
He's the cool brother who ditches him all the time.
But he gives him the muscle car keys.
He goes back to find the blonde woman. She's gone without a trace. Nowhere to be seen.
Can't blame her.
Yeah, he's like, I'm out of here. I'm done. He said, whoa, and now he's running after brother. This
took
night's
my
over.
panties.
He took my panties. I'm done. So we fade to black, and we fade in on Mike sleeping in his bed. The camera zooms in on Mike's face and then zooms out to show that Mike's bed is now in the cemetery, and the tall man is standing behind the headboard looking down over Mike. And then suddenly two zombies burst out from the ground and grab Mike.
Grabbing at Mike. He's
Mike.
screaming, and it's like, whoa.
And that's it.
Weird.
Next morning, Jody goes back to the bar.
And it's like they just chop it.
Yeah.
It's kind of, huh?
Yeah.
And then it's like, meh, now we're cool.
Exactly. The editing is really, I did not care for the editing in this movie. I didn't. Even if it was a stylized thing they're going for, I just didn't care for it. And it was too all over the place. The transitions were not very well done, in my opinion. So yeah, Jody goes back to the bar, asks the bartender if he's seen the blonde woman he left with last night. So of course, as soon as Jody goes inside, Mike again walks in the frame. So again, he's just
Right
he's got
there.
like the flash, like he just is there. And he's I said before, Jody's driving a fucking muscle car. It's a Barracuda, and Mike is meandering around on foot, but yet he's always just like 2 seconds behind Jody at all times. But instead of going into the bar, he keeps walking. Mike does, and he ends up walking around the downtown area of their small town, where he spots the tall man. Now, the tall man is shown walking in slow motion down like the sidewalk. Boom. Yeah, very deliberate, long strides.
Long strides, big gait, like every footstep, boom, boom, boom.
And we see Reggie. He's making like ice cream deliveries.
He's loading his truck
unloading,
up with.
He's unloading like box of ice cream for, I guess, like one of the stores out front or something like that. And we see the tall man walking behind, like in the background behind Reggie,
As like,
like the
condensation,
the
the frost is
like,
coming out of the truck.
steaming out, yeah.
So it looks, it's a picturesque. It's kind of cool, and he like
It is-
stands
yeah.
there, and takes a deep breath.
which is so it's so weird.
Yeah.
like this is such a like it is kind of like cool.
It's cool.
Cinematography wise, it's kind of cool looking, but it's really fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like he just comes to a dead stop behind Reggie.
Closes his eyes.
And inhales deep, like almost like it's orgasmic for him. Like he's getting off on this, and then just exhales, turns, and walks. Keeps walking away.
Going on my way.
It's what? It's so odd and bizarre. Like I get it. He just loves the smell of ice cream, maybe or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's Junkie Monkey.
Rocket Road is so. So again, now we go to later that night. Mike is again working on Joey's car. He has it up on jacks, and he's underneath the car. And again, if I was Joey, there's no way I'd be letting my 13-year-old brother work on my super sweet muscle car. But now we hear this.
He's the cool brother.
He's the cool brother. Now we hear this strange warbling sounds again.
The
And-
kind of primal.
Yeah. And we see the feet of something scurry by, and then the car begins to shake back and forth. And this causes the jacks to break, and the rear end of the car drops to the ground, pinning Mike underneath it.
Good
Now,
thing he's skinny.
yeah, the movie shows us Mike trapped underneath the car and basically unable to move. Like, he's pinned.
Yeah.
But then, which is complete bullshit, because the very next shot of Mike, he smashes Jody's foot
Mike,
with a hammer.
Mike sees feet and he freaks out and he smashes it, and it happens to be Jody.
And he just rolls right out from underneath the
No
car.
problem.
No problem whatsoever. So Mike frantically tries to convince Jody that the same things from the graveyard here. They're trying to get him. And Jody's response is maybe one of my favorite lines in the movie. Jody says to Mike, "Are you sure it wasn't that retarded kid Tommy from up the street?" You gotta love the 70s and 80s, man. Are you sure it wasn't the retarded kid?
I missed that. How did I miss that?
I can't believe you missed that.
No, I'm kind of pissed I missed that. Oh, man.
That's one of my two favorite lines of this whole movie. Is you sure it's not the
Oh,
retarded kid from up the
boy.
street? So at this time, Mike in this scene seems very effeminate to me. His voice is to me getting very like almost feminine sounding, very high pitched, and his features are very feminine. Look, it doesn't
Well,
help.
he's a young guy, you know.
And he's got the longer
Yeah.
hair.
Mhm.
It's just So yeah, I mean he's easily passed for a girl in my opinion for this movie.
Well, I don't go that far, but
I think so. Now we cut to Mike back in his bedroom. He's strapping a large knife to his leg, like under his pants.
yeah, dude, that's so funny. Because I remember being in high school, buying weapons from the gun show at
Yeah.
the fairgrounds, and going to school sometimes with fucking butterfly knives. Like, we had friends that did this too. Like, I had a knife strapped to my leg, friends with butterfly knives in their belt buckle. Like, we did some really ridiculous shit. When I saw that, I was like, yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
Ah, it's cool.
Weapons at school. That's always a great.
Kids don't do that
Don't
now.
do
You'll
that.
get expelled.
Yeah. So Mike grabs a crucifix, sneaks out of the house, jogs down to the cemetery where he hops the gate, and he breaks into the funeral home by
Yeah.
breaking a basement window.
Smashes the shit out
Yeah,
of
so
it.
like so much for trying to be quiet here, stealthy. Like just smash the shit out of a window, and he makes his way to the casket showroom, where he hears a loud thud, spins around to see the door swing shut and then open again, and a man in a white fisherman's hat and coveralls enters the room.
Yeah.
Just this random dude,
Where'd this guy come from?
and he hides inside one of the caskets. And the man is about to find Mike when the tall man is seen standing behind him in the doorway. And seeing the tall man, the man in the hat walks over to the tall man, and the two of them like leave together. Mike follows him, ends up back in the mausoleum again.
Yeah, so obviously it's inside of the house.
Yeah. And he comes to the door that the blonde girl that we think Star Child found earlier, and the sound of snarling and thuds are heard on the other side. Mike turns and just takes off running at this point. As he turns a corner, he sees a chrome sphere come flying towards
The
him.
classic Phantasm
The Phantasm
sphere.
sphere. This is the first time you see it. He turns, runs away from it, and he dives to the floor just in nick time as the chrome sphere passes over him. Gets up, runs back the other direction now, so he's grabbed by the man in the hat and the overalls, and
The
Mike,
man's got his arm around him, kind of like he's about to put him like in a rear naked choke.
yeah,
or something.
he's got strangled, and he's struggling to get free from the man's grasp. The flying ball returns. See, he like turns around and comes back at him. Mike bites into the man's forearm,
so
forearm,
hard that he's bleeding.
like
He's-
a lot of blood.
yeah,
too.
he's really biting the shit out of his
Yeah.
arm. That would cause a lot of people to let go.
Yeah, which he does. The man
Yeah.
lets go of him, and right as Mike is let go of, the two blades pop out from this flying sphere. Mike dives to the side just in time to avoid the ball, but the man's not so lucky.
No.
Because the blades of the ball stick into the man's forehead.
And he's like, ugh, stunned.
Yeah, and then once it's like connected to his head, a drill pops out of the ball and begins to drill into the man's face.
So awesome.
Right between his eyes.
It's so awesome. It just drills right. It's like the sphere grows knives,
Yeah.
basically daggers, sticks into his head, and then when he's like standing like stunned, a drill comes out and just bores right into like the top of his nose,
Yeah.
right where the forehead meets the nose.
And you think that's it, but no, it gets better because the ball begins to shit out the man's blood like it has the worst case of explosive diarrhea ever. I mean, blood just continues to shoot out the ball's anus as the man falls over dead next to Mike.
Blood is just shooting out the back like he had a fucking gift card to Chipotle. It's just flying out the back. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The guy's he's stammering around for a while, finally falls over dead.
And to top it all off, the man pisses himself after he dies, and for some extra added flavor, this giant puddle of piss just fills the floor. So Mike stands up, looking at the body. The tall man walks out from the end of the hallway. Mike spouts out the appropriate phrase, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
And now I gotta say, the writers must have fallen in love with the saying "oh shit," because that line is said so many times
Oh,
in this
shit.
movie, it's almost comical. It's like the cliche line of this movie. The tall man marches,
Getting that
he
long
he
gait.
matches Mike move for move. Like he
Yeah.
step to the right, step to the left, step to the right, kind of. And then Mike just takes off running, and the tall man gives chase. And he's able to get to the door, slam it closed, just in the nick of time. The door traps but kind of pins the tall man's fingers between like the door and the door frame.
Yeah, so the tall man's hand is stuck, and he's kind of tapping like, oh, fuck,
Yeah.
let me go.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is when Mike takes out that knife, chops off all the tall man's fingers, who bleeds butterscotch pudding instead of red blood.
I mean, it is like mustard, It's like yellow mustard comes pouring out everywhere. The fingers fall to the floor, and the fingers are wiggling and squiggling around.
Yeah, Mike actually picks up one of severed
It's
fingers,
like, souvenir.
and he goes to leave, but then from out of nowhere, he's being chased by fucking Jawas.
Yeah.
I shit you not.
I was
he's
waiting
being
for that
chased
too.
By Jawas.
I was waiting for that too. Yeah, I mean, the Jawa line, that's perfect. That's exactly what it was.
The Jawas. He's able to leap out the same window he
And they
broke
are
into.
growling and barking
Yeah.
like dogs.
Yeah, and he escapes as the Jawas grab at his feet, and it just cuts away to Mike sleeping on the staircase in his house, where there's a wooden box next to him, and he's holding a shotgun in his lap. So Jody finds him, wakes him up. Mike shows him the box, and Jody opens the box to see.
And so he's like, yeah, I chopped off fingers, and there was one. He's like, so one of them's in there, and he's like, yeah. He's like, all right, let me see it. And you're thinking, oh, it's not going to be in there. But he opens it up. Sure enough, it's in there wiggling around with mustard.
in a
he's-
puddle of lemon pudding.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I said lemon pudding. And Jody just like real calm, like closes the leaves. Says, "All right, I believe you.
I believe you.
All right, I'm in."
That's exactly what you said.
Yeah. So after a short talk in the kitchen where Mike tells Jody everything he's seen so far up to this point, Jody tells him to go get the evidence that they're going to go to the sheriff. So Mike goes to get the box, but now it's not moving. He opens the box, and instead of a finger, out comes a ridiculously furry toy fly with red glowing eyes.
I didn't know what the fuck it was. I'm looking
It's-
like, what the
The
fuck is
finger,
this?
a severed finger, turns into a giant demon
fly.
fly.
Yeah, demon fly is the best way of putting it.
And it just starts flying around the room. Mike loses track of it until it crawls up the back of his head.
And it looks really bad.
It's so bad.
It looks
This,
really bad. It's
Yeah.
obviously a big plastic toy.
I mean, this is one of those effects you'd see in like one of those like early like 1940s
Yes.
sci-fi movies. Or
Yes,
something
yes,
like
like
that.
Vincent
It's that-
Price
It's
would be
so bad.
wrestling with this fly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they start like he grabs it and traps it in his jean jacket.
And the fly's trying to fly away. It's so strong, it's like lifting him off his feet.
Yeah.
It's smacking him against the walls. Mike comes to help.
Jody comes to help.
Jody comes to help,
Yeah.
and they're both just barely able to keep this thing contained.
Exactly.
And they're like, let's put it in the garbage disposal.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Why don't you just open the door and throw it out
Throw it
there?
out the window.
You're done. You're done.
Somebody else's problem
Yeah.
now.
That's what I would have done.
So yeah, they somehow are able to shove it down the garbage disposal. But now Reggie shows up. He's like, hey, guys, what's happening?
He's like,
And-
yeah, Reggie comes and like, hey,
what's up?
what's up, dudes? You know?
He's like, hey, Mike, you want to ride along with me while I do my rounds in my
And
ice cream truck?
they're both like stunned, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's wrong with you guys?"
And the demon fly launches back out of the garbage disposal, attacks Mike again. Jody once again shoves it back down the garbage disposal while Mike stabs at it several times with a knife.
And what they should have done in the first place is, like they did this time, they should have ran the water with the garbage disposal.
Yeah, you always have to run the water.
You always have to run the water.
Yeah.
They didn't do that the first time. It didn't go all the way down.
That's right. That's the problem.
You ran the water, you would have been fine in the first place. And man, they didn't run that garbage disposal long.
No,
man.
they did not. They did not give it much time to do
It's
its
like
work.
I finished dinner. I let that motherfucker run for a while. You know how stinky that's gonna get.
Oh, that's right. I didn't think about that. That demon fly, that's gonna
Yeah.
stink. So Jody gives Mike a shotgun now and tells him to stay put while he goes out to investigate. And before Jody,
This happens a lot.
yeah, Jody is constantly leaving Mike alone, and
Like once, okay, twice, the fifth or sixth time, like fuck you, man.
Yeah, like you were just a shitty brother.
Yeah.
So before he leaves, he tells Mike, this is my other favorite line in the movie. He says, you know, blah blah blah, something happens, don't he's like, no warning shots. Warning shots are bullshit.
I love that
That's
line.
my other favorite line in this
I
movie.
do love that line. Yeah, warning shot. Don't do a warning shot. Warning shots are bullshit. Like that's I like that. That's pretty solid.
Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
agree.
solid.
It's very solid. So Jody grabs a Colt handgun for himself and leaves.
I've got this.
I've got yeah.
Little Resident Evil throw
Yeah,
out
I hope
there.
it's not Chris's
Yeah.
blood. Jody sneaks into the funeral home by the way of the same window that Mike broke earlier. And in the basement, Jody too gets attacked by a Jawa.
As soon as Jody doesn't get fucking past the basement,
No.
As soon as he gets in the basement, out comes a Jawa or Spaceballs a dink dink and attacks him.
he pulls out his Colt and in the most awkward and inaccurate way possible,
I loved it.
shoots the Jawa.
The Jawa's on his back. He's riding his back. His head's a little bit above his. He puts the gun above his head, shoots it point blank.
Yeah. And in reality, Jody would have completely shot himself in the head base because you can see the angle of the gun. It's pointed more at Jody's head than the Jawa.
Pretty risky
Jody
move
just
there,
would have
Jody.
blown his head off.
You got lucky. You got lucky, pal.
Yeah. So
The Jawa falls down.
Yeah. So Jody goes to the window. Jawa gets back up, goes after Jody, who shoots the Jawa 3 more times,
Flying across the room.
Yeah.
Flies across the room. That's some fucking power in that gun. How did it survive a
Yeah.
point blank shot?
And then he flees out the window.
By this time, I would have been like, you know what? You told me exactly what I just saw. I shot it 4 times. We're getting the fuck out of Dodge.
Yes.
Yeah, gone.
That's a great point.
Gone.
They just like, all right, we're gonna move, or we're
yeah,
leaving. But
we're-
no,
we'll
they
figure it
just-
out later.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
So Joey's running away from his funeral home, and the hearse is seen starting up behind him and starts driving after Jody. He turns to shoot at the hearse and then dives out of the way as it's just about to run over. And now up pulls Mike driving Jody's car. They drive away as the hearse returns to chase after them.
Mike's driving, and Jody's got the shotgun.
He pulls out the shotgun from the backseat, tells Mike to let the hearse catch up to them. And Mike freaks out when he knows that there's no one driving the hearse. So Joey stands up through his sunroof, starts shooting at the hearse. After several shots, the hearse crashes into a tree.
He blows out the engine. The hearse crashes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike and Jody get out to investigate the crash. They open up the driver's side door of the hearse and find that one of the Jawas driving it is now dead.
And they're like, it's a dwarf.
Yeah, it's been impaled through the chest by like a tree branch from the crash. Jody reaches in, removes the Jawa's hood to reveal that a kind of zombie-fied Tommy with lemon pudding blood coming out of its mouth.
Tommy, of course, the guy at the beginning of the movie who was
Yeah.
stabbed by the sexy boob-grabbing girl.
Exactly. Now, we cut to Jody on a payphone talking to Reggie, filling him in on what's happened. So a lot of this movie is just people telling other people what's already happened.
That's a good point.
He tells Reggie to bring his ice cream truck, and we go back to the crash site where Reggie and Joey load the Jawa's body into the freezer.
They're like, man, he's heavy.
Uh,
So he's a thick little bastard.
He's a thick bastard. The freezer of ice cream truck, and they lock it. And the 3 of them head back to Joey's house to discuss everything, figure out what's going on. Here, Jody says that the tall man is taking the bodies of the recently dead and crushing them down to half their size.
Yeah.
What what?
Of course.
That's the most logical thing that's going to first come to my mind.
That's their guess. Yeah,
That's the
it's gotta
first
be,
thing they
gotta
come to
be
mind.
compressing him, you know?
It's like, what?
huh?
Like, how do you even come to that
I
conclusion?
don't know.
So Reggie's idea then is to snatch up the tall man and stomp the shit out of him until he talks.
I do love it. I do love it. He's like, we just stomped the shit out of him until he tells us what's going on here. It's like, damn, bro.
Mike then is like, Mike says, nope, that's not going to work because I quote, that mother is strong. And again, mother is another word that the writers love to use in this movie.
They kind of get a little street here.
Yeah.
It's like, we're gonna stomp the shit out of him. Man, that
That
mother's
mother's
strong.
strong.
And coming
That
out of like
mother's this.
two of the whitest looking
Yeah.
motherfuckers. It's pretty funny.
I mean, I get it's like that was probably said a lot in the 70s. I get that. But yeah, it's like it's so weird. I'm like these people are saying mother this and mother that. But besides oh shit, mother's the next most common word said in this movie. So Jody and Reggie take Mike over to Sally, who we don't fucking Sally. Who knows who that is? Just
no,
Sally.
yeah, they just brand new characters.
Yeah, like whoa, take her to Sally's antique shop because
Yep.
that's a safe spot for him.
That's where we hang out.
So wandering through the antique shop, Mike finds some old black and white photographs. One of the photos is of the tall man sitting in the driver's seat of an old horse-drawn hearse.
So it looks like he's been around for a
Centuries.
long time.
Yeah. And the photo comes to life, and it zooms in on the tall man who turns his head to look at Mike, and then turns it back the way it was facing. And that's it.
That's it.
And Mike pockets the photo, which nothing ever comes of it
No,
again.
no,
There's
he
no,
just-
you
so he
never
just-
see it again.
Steals.
Yeah. And he demands that Sally takes him home, even though they said, keep him here
Yeah,
no
no
matter
matter what.
But they're like, nope, take me home now.
Oh,
and she
those-
gives in. She's like,
oh.
okay.
Sally's a pushover.
Yeah, there's two women who are like easy in their 20s or something. And one apparently is an entrepreneur. She owns her own antique shop.
She's balling.
But she gives in to the whiny demands of a 13-year-old kid.
Sally and Susie.
Yes, the S's.
That's some pretty original names right there.
Sally, Susie,
Sally.
Mike. We did not dig deep into the old name book.
No,
for
they
this
didn't
one.
even use the same actor's name, Reggie.
Yeah.
We can't think of any names. Can I just use my own name? Sure.
So, back to Reggie driving back from dropping off Mike, and he hears stumping and snarling come from the back of his truck. But the movie cuts away before anything happens, and it cuts away.
And Reggie's like, oh shit, he's
Yep.
awake.
Oh shit! And it cuts to Jody sleeping in a chair. The camera zooms in on Jody's face, and then it zooms out again. And Jody is now in the mausoleum. Jody opens his eyes to see the tall man walking down the hallway towards him again with like the very long stride, long gait. And the tomb right above Jody's head bursts open, and two Jawas pull him inside. Jody wakes up back in his living room.
So again, but it's bad editing. So it's kind of like, huh?
Yeah.
You know, is this kind of, was that a dream sequence? They don't wake up like, ah. They
Yeah.
just open their eyes like, well,
Yeah.
that was disturbing.
Yeah, exactly. I totally.
Yeah,
that's
it's not
a
like
very
they
good
wake
point.
up like, oh God.
Holy
oh.
shit, that was
They just kind of open their eyes like, that was not cool.
That was so.
Not cool,
we
bro.
go back to Sally and her friend Susan driving Mike home, and they come across
In a
Reggie's
Volkswagen Bug.
in the Beetle.
And it doesn't look like it's driving. It looks like someone's just on the side kind of shaking it.
Yeah, it does.
You're driving. Act like you're driving. I'm just going to shake it here a little bit.
And they come across Reggie's overturned ice cream truck. Mike gets out to check it out, and tells the girls to stay put. And again, this is irresponsible of the women to just let him out. It's like,
Dude, they have no backbone.
They do
whatsoever. They're just like, oh, you want to go home again? Okay. You want us to stay in the car?
Okay.
All right. You know, so they're not listening to Mike at all, or they're listening to everything he says.
Yeah. At this point, it's almost like Mike is like the abusive boyfriend of these
Kinda.
girls. He's like,
Take
"Do
me
what I
home.
say."
Stop the car. Stay inside.
Whatever you say, Mike. Just don't hit me again. Whatever you say. So he goes back to check on the freezer and finds that the padlock has been broken, but yet someone had put it back on the latch, which really makes no sense.
thought
Like
that's
that's
strange,
really
too.
weird.
Yeah.
Like it should be on the ground or something. Not like if you break out a latch, you don't like let me put that back.
Let me close the door and put it back on.
Yeah. So he opens the freezer door. The Jawa's gone. He rushes back to the car, tells the girls, get him home quickly.
And this is where they don't listen.
Yeah, this is the one where they don't.
This is where they finally stand up for themselves. Like, no, we want to know what's going on. And then all of a sudden you hear banging and rustling on the door.
And
the guy's trying to open the door, and he's like, Mike's going, drive. drive.
And he says,
And they're like, what's going on? God damn it, bitch, just drive. This is the time you decide to stand up and not do what he says.
I agree. He's like, oh shit. So that's why I was like, exactly what you say. It's great. Like all this banging thumping, like, what's going on, Mike? They're not like, holy shit, we need to get out of here.
Right.
We refuse.
Oh my god.
So we see the door, the door lock starts to jiggle, and like Mike's like, "Don't open that door," but just like a fucking moron, that's exactly what she does. Like, let me open this door. That something's obviously trying to get in.
Opens the door and then pile like 3 Jawas.
3 Jawas just pile into this
like
thing.
a reverse clown car. You know, they just come pouring in.
Yes. The second Jawa goes after Mike in the back seat.
Beats the shit out of him.
Oh, he wails on Mike. He's like getting slammed around the back seat, and then he's just tossed out the rear window.
Throws Mike's lanky ass out the back of the Beetle
as the car peels away into the night as the girls scream. Now, here's another thing that I don't know if you noticed this, but just another continuity error.
The truck.
Yes, when they show the Beetle driving away, Reggie's ice cream truck is just
facing the truck. Lights on.
Yeah, lights
shining
on.
right at it.
But the truck is now gone.
Completely gone.
Completely disappeared. No truck anywhere.
Yes.
So
I noticed that right. I mean, it's glaring.
Yes, I'm
it's
glad.
a glaring continuity.
Yeah.
Because right when I saw it, I was like, where the fuck did oh, shit. Whoops. we only had the truck for one night.
Yeah, can't redo that one. So Mike runs home, and this guy must have cardio for days.
Yeah.
Because we have no idea. He's just running all over the place in this movie. And we have no
That's
idea.
how he keeps up with he's
That's how he keeps up
keeping
with the-
up in that car,
he's
man.
running.
You know he can move.
So Jody hugs him and then has Mike sit on his lap.
That was
It's
weird, too.
really weird.
It's kind of strange.
It's so weird.
It's like, you know, you're
then-
not that young.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
he just kind of like, sit down, buddy.
Sit
I'm
down on my
"Ooh,
lap."
It's
not like a father and son. It's like an older brother, and again, to make it show that he's just another shitty brother or just irresponsible, is he lets his 13-year-old brother drink his beer.
I do love that, but it's like he didn't even give him a chance. He just grabs it and gulp, gulp, gulp. I'd just be like, all right, obviously you're disturbed.
Yeah,
Go for it, buddy.
The 70s must have been awesome because apparently 13-year-olds can drink and drive in the 70s.
Shoot shotguns.
Shoot shotgun.
Warning shots are bullshit.
Yeah. So again, Mike fills in Jody, and what happens? We get more retelling of what happened, and again, Jody's like, "Go to your room, you'll be safe." And
God damn it.
yeah.
And thank God Mike's like, no.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
He refuses.
He forces him in there. Throws him over his shoulder. He's like, you son of a bitch. Throws him in the room and wedges it closed with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
And
jams
obviously you can tell this has been done before because there's scratches all over. It's like, he locks his brother in there a lot. What's going on?
And then Joey just leaves for the funeral home. Again, it's like, what? Like, I get now that maybe something's happened to Reggie, they have more inclination to go back and figure out, but you're totally right. Like, they should be like, we're just getting the hell out of here.
Well, that's
like,
what he's saying.
this is not our problem.
He's got Susie and Sally, and they've got Reggie, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now I get you got to go save your friends.
Yeah. So Mike now pulls out a shotgun shell from his jacket pocket, and then he has a moment of sheer brilliancy.
MacGyver moment.
MacGyver, he sticks a thumbtack into the head of the shotgun shell and then tapes that to the head of a hammer. And he goes to the bedroom door, swings the hammer, which blasts a hole through the door large enough for Mike to reach his hand through and remove the screwdriver. I'm sorry, his hand probably would have blown off his hand.
I know. I'm just thinking, dude, it's gonna fuck your hands up.
Yeah,
it's gonna fuck your hands up. But I'm like, and now I kind of want to like look something up on YouTube to see if that's even possible.
Yeah.
Like the Phantasm hammer gun. Does it work? I want to see MythBusters in on this shit.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Does this happen? Does this happen?
Would this work?
Does this blow his fucking hands off? I mean, will it damage his hands? What's happening? Because man, it works like a charm.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, I don't know, because there would have to be something that, like, the thumbtack would punctures the shell, but I don't know if that'd be enough to actually ignite a spark to cause the explosion
in the gunpowder,
the
right?
Gunpowder to go off.
I don't think so.
And if it did go off, a shotgun shell that close would probably blow your hand off.
It just blow up because the reason it goes forward is through the barrel of the gun.
Yeah, but there's no barrel.
Blow up.
It just like a firework. It just blows outward. Yeah, his hand would be gone, or at least in pieces.
I still kind of liked it.
So he runs downstairs, grabs yet another gun. They have an endless supply of guns in this household. They are like
NRA
some
11
Freeman,
motherfuckers.
The Freeman,
Well,
NRA.
They do have like a puma on the wall,
That's
like a
true.
half-stuffed puma.
Not just the head, it's like a whole upper torso.
So my guess they just blew it in half with the shotgun and just
I
like,
love
well,
the puma.
the top part's still good.
I did love the puma.
Let's just use that.
Because it's complete upper half with its two front legs and the head.
Kinda like,
It looks like it's with Michael Jackson's Thriller dance.
Yeah,
you know?
kind of just.
So he where was it? Yeah, he flings the front door open, and there stands the tall man who says, "I've been waiting for you."
Well, he's holding his hands up like he's missing his fingers, then he opens up his hands. It's kind of like the cheesy effect of when you slide your finger.
Yes,
and it's
the
like
thumb, the
it's
thumb effect.
the thumb going over the finger, and you're like tricking little kids. Like, look, I can slide my finger apart. He's kind of that same thing because he's holding his hand up, and he's got his fingers curled under his knuckles, and he opens his hand like, "Ha, my fingers grew back." No,
You're right.
Mike's not that dumb. He's like, no, your fingers were always there.
So the tall man just grabs Mike and like carries him like a kitten, like by the nape of the neck, just picks him up one hand and carries him and then throws him in the back of the hearse.
Yep.
And they drive off. Now, I will say the music that's played during these scenes of Jody and the tall man driving, I actually kind of like the
Dude,
music.
the music
here.
in this movie is pretty good. It's pretty groovy stuff.
It's a bit cheesy and clearly done on synthesizer, but I like it.
But it's good. It's good. Look, well, hey, John Carpenter in the '70s synthesizer, his stuff in the '80s, like Escape from New York and stuff synthesized. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
I liked it.
So Mike tries to kick out the rear window of the hearse, has no luck with that. So he pulls out his gun, shoots the window, shattering the glass. He then points the gun down and shoots.
I like the
through
wheel well.
he shoots through the floor into the rear tire, blowing the rear tire out.
It's not a bad idea.
And this causes the tall man to lose control of the hearse. Mike does I don't know how he would take a running leap, but he somehow takes squatting running leap, leaps out the broken back window right as the hearse crashes into a wooden post
And just explodes.
Thank you. For some reason, it explodes.
And a big ball of fire.
Which makes no fucking sense because we saw the earlier. So this must be a second hearse now because we saw the hearse earlier crash into a giant tree and not explode at all.
That's a good point. They've got another.
They got a fleet of hearses.
Yeah, they got a couple of hearses in there.
But for some reason, this time when it crashes into what's basically just a fence post, a large fence post, the car explodes in a massive fireball.
Boom! I love it. And it's engulfed in flames.
Yeah, it's just nothing left. So Jody, in the meantime, is back in the mausoleum. He breaks open his parents' tomb and pulls out his father's casket. He closes his eyes, opens the casket, but he never actually looks inside. He just says to himself, yeah, he has to be in there, and closes the lid.
Yeah, he doesn't even bother to look.
Yeah, it's like you just
You went
desecrated
through-
your parents' grave
You
for
went
nothing.
through all of that just to go,
they're
I
there.
bet he's in there. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's fine.
It's all right.
So meanwhile,
Fuck
Mike now enters the funeral home through the front door, and another one of the flying chrome spheres is seen zipping around the mausoleum, and which Mike has now entered as well. He finds his parents' casket.
Mike's got some balls.
Yeah.
Opens it up, takes a look.
Screams.
Dad's not in there.
Yes.
Dad's not in. No one's in there. He freaks out.
Screams, runs away. Mike comes to a stop, sees the flying sphere coming at him, but he just stands there and says, "Oh my God."
Too bad it wasn't, oh shit.
Yeah, I'm surprised it was. Should have been, oh shit. But Jody pops up behind Mike and shoots the sphere with his shotgun. The sphere explodes in a puff of purple dust and smoke.
I liked it.
Mike then leads Jody to the door he found earlier, the one that Star Child opened up. And Reggie just runs in behind him again.
Why
Just
not?
pops up like, "Hey guys, what's up?"
Why not? Reggie just shows up. Reggie, weren't you in a horrible truck accident? We didn't find your body. What happened?
Nothing.
Huh?
You just, "Hey
He's
guys,
like,
what's going on?"
Nah, man, I'm cool. I already saved some bitches.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, I found Sally Susan. Oh yeah, and a bunch of other girls
I've never seen
I've never seen
before.
and I helped him escape through the window. It's all good."
They ran like scared rabbits.
Yeah.
What do you say, us dudes,
Handle
us
it.
swinging dicks, take care of this? You know? Jesus, man. And he's got a leather jacket on, like a leather vest. He's rocking a leather vest on his ice cream outfit. Fucking Reggie's awesome.
So the three of them open up the door and they find this white room filled with stacks of like Rubbermaid looking barrels.
I love this room. It's so sterile. It feels like an Apple computer room. Like if Apple computer was a room, it'd be this room.
It'd be this room.
Yeah.
So also in the room at the far end are these two chrome posts sticking out of the floor.
Right.
And Joey starts looking into the barrels, which houses the Jawas. Like the
Yeah.
Jawas live
They're
in
looking
these
at
barrels.
they're looking at the barrels and they're like, and he looks and goes, dwarves. I wish he said Jawas.
Jawas. So Mike swings his arm through the open space between the two chrome posts, and in doing so, his arm disappears from sight until he pulls it back, where we hear a woman's voice say, "Don't fear."
Yeah, so
It's like,
he's like,
what?
okay, I'll put my hand like the.
I get it's like the box, but it's like, what? Like,
All
why?
right.
Don't fear about. Yeah, have no fear about an interdimensional portal.
Yeah,
that's something to be scared.
Fucking scary.
That's something to be scared about. So Mike kneels down again and sticks his hand through the open space. This time he's sucked into the void and pulled into another dimension. He finds himself free falling through a red sky, and on the ground below him he sees an endless line of Jawas walking off into the red horizon,
Like carrying
away from like the
stuff
pile of barrels they've come out of. And so apparently Mike has found the portal from the funeral home to Tatooine.
Yeah.
Because holy shit,
Dude, it's Tatooine with the red sky.
It is. You know what this? I mean, this means that this world and Star Wars universe are connected by a portal in a funeral home,
Wow.
and that
My mind is blown.
the Jawas are crushed down. Dead people they've crushed down into zombies. That means the zombies, which the Jawas have yellow, bright, glowing eyes,
Yes.
which are just the bloodshot eyes of the zombie dwarfs.
Because
instead
they
of
have
blood,
mustard
it's
blood.
lemon
Yes.
pudding blood. Jawas are zombies from Phantasm.
Unbelievable.
Boom.
Whoa. Oh my god.
Which is also why they can't speak basic or English because
That's why they're
because their vocal cords have been
Yeah.
smushed down and they're zombies. So it's like they're Jawa speak.
That's perfect. Oh my god.
Boom.
Boom.
So, oh god. Anyway, Mike, mid-fall, Mike's just grabbed by Jody out of midair and pulled back into our dimension. And Mike tells Jody and Reggie that the dwarfs/Jawas have been used for slaves, and that they have to crush them down because of the gravity and the heat. What the shit?
It's
Wait,
like he spent a whole
10
10
seconds?
seconds max in there, and all of a sudden he absorbed all this knowledge.
Yeah, like how does he even figure that out? There's nothing explaining it to him. He doesn't read a book. There's nothing. You don't see like the Jawas getting whipped like slaves. Or
Right.
anything. They're just walking in a line in a distance.
And if the gravity was so intense, wouldn't you get sucked down a little faster?
A little faster. But
I
no,
don't
he's
know.
like floating like a feather down this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like there's no plausible way Mike knows this all of a sudden, but he does.
I don't know. I love it.
So anyway, the room now goes
Marshall
dark.
took a big slug of
Big old-
water,
yeah.
so I'm sure you're going to hear that.
Yes, plunk, sploosh. Anyway, the room goes dark. Mike pulls out a lighter, and as soon as he lights it, he gets jumped by a Jawa.
Dude, I love this. The room goes dark, and they're all just calm as could be. Hey, man, let's stick together. I got a lighter. Pull that sucker out, buddy. It's like, damn, there are some smooth motherfuckers. They're not freaking out at all.
Yeah, which I can't get. I would call bullshit.
I-
You would be fucking freaked out.
Yeah, you just
You
saw
just
an interdimensional portal.
with-
There's midgets.
with like Jawa midget.
there's
zombies
dwarves in
barrels,
like Rubbermaid barrels right next to you.
and the power just goes off. And you're like, oh shit!
Yeah.
I would be freaking out.
yeah, where's the oh shit line there?
And
You know?
if one wrong step and you can't even see
Yeah.
the portal, but you're falling into the portal. You're
Mhm.
gone. So, the room goes dark again because the lighter goes out, and we hear Jody open a door and tell Mike to follow him. The door closes, leaving Reggie alone in the dark. And for the third or fourth time now, Reggie, you hear him, oh shit. Next, we see Jody running around the outside of the funeral home.
Somehow he got out
Yeah.
all the way outside, and he
All the
left.
way outside.
He left all those motherfuckers in the dust.
Yeah. His brother, Reggie, he's gone. They separate. And again, I was like, yeah, how did he get outside so fast is beyond me. In the dark room, the power comes back on, and there's Reggie all alone. He walks up to the chrome post, reaches out with both hands, like he's going to touch the tops of them. But the movie then cuts away to Jody outside, and we see the blonde woman he met at the bar.
The one who's the coccicidal maniac.
Yes. And the same one that killed time, standing behind Jody with a knife. And we cut back to Reggie who grabs the top of the post. And as soon as he does, the blonde woman gasps and Reggie is tossed to the floor. And the portal then begins to suck everything in the room through it, like a giant wind vortex, tornado,
right,
something like Poltergeist or like Monster Squad. And it just starts sucking everything in.
And Reggie's got to slide across the floor while these Rubbermaid Jawas are flying past him. He's able to get through the door, just get it closed, and but there's still this humming and buzzing,
like this giant windstorms blowing everywhere,
like energy and things. This is sucking in more than just a few things.
Yeah, and so
it's building in power.
He gets out of the room. Outside, Mike is calling out for Jody again. Now outside, it's like this massive tornado, like windstorm outside too.
Huge windstorm.
Reggie exits out the front door of the funeral home, fighting against the winds. He finds a blonde woman in a purple dress lying on the ground. He goes to check her out. He rolls her over, and she just stabs Reggie in the chest.
Right.
Boom. Boom. Right. It's the same woman from before, but you don't see it. You don't see her face. Stabs Reggie in the chest. Mike and Jody, they find each other. They head off to get Reggie. The blonde woman is standing over Reggie now, looking down at him while he bleeds out. And now, again, the woman flashes back and forth between being a woman and being the tall man. The tall man pulls out the knife from Reggie as Reggie seems to die. So Mike and Jody see this, see the tall man standing over Reggie, and Mike's like, we have to go help him. Jody's like, nope, he's dead. He's already dead. Can't help him. We gotta get out of here. So they drive off in Jody's car. As they drive away, the funeral home is engulfed in light that changed from like yellow to red to green to blue. And I'm not sure if the funeral home is supposed to disappear or if it's just a really bad editing.
Yeah.
Because it just cuts. It goes from like it's glowing, then it just cuts to black, and it's a black screen. And Mike and Jody arrive back home. So yeah, like what happens to the funeral? Like
I thought it got sucked into the vortex or disappeared.
Yeah,
whatever. I mean, it didn't really get sucked into anything. It just fucking disappeared.
They just cut the black.
Yeah.
It's just that's all that happens. But I get the idea that something happened to it too, but they do a really shitty job of showing it or explaining that. So Mike and Jody arrive back at the house. Jody tells Mike about an old mine shaft that must be at least 1,000 feet deep, and we have to get the tall man up there somehow.
Huh?
What? Again, like this is your logic? Like, it makes no sense. And Jody tells Mike to go inside to get more ammo while he races up to the mine shaft to try to camouflage it.
So we've had unsuccessful times when I've left you all alone. Stay here by yourself one more time.
One more time.
I'm going to leave you by yourself.
It's going to work this time.
And this time he's like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. Like, all right, I'll leave you home. Same thing. In this shitty movie, I mean...
Don't leave each other alone.
Exactly. That's exactly what I put. So Mike starts locking all the windows, and he comes up to another window. He pulls back the curtains, and there's the tall man staring at him on the other side.
Oh, you think? Yeah. I mean, that's what happens.
It was so
They know where you live.
Yeah. He's already been there once.
He knows he likes to leave Mike by himself. I mean, he's just like, I know he's not going to be there.
Yeah, it's like,
shit.
They're just like, set him up and let me knock him down. Like, So, yeah, the tall man smashes through the window. Mike rushes off. But the very next scene, he's just walking slowly, creeping down the hallway. So much for running away or out the house. He's just like, I'm just going to creep my way through here real slow. He enters the kitchen, and that's when the back door bursts off its hinges and flies off.
Just bursts open.
And there's the tall man standing there laughing. And Mike just easily runs out the front door and heads up to the mine shaft. Like, nothing happens.
And we already know Mike's got cardio for days.
Yeah, he does. The tall man stalks after Mike, and we hear the tall man say in voiceover, "You play a good game, boy, but the game is finished. Now you die." And
I kind of like that.
Yeah. Although, except every time I hear "you play a good game, boy," I'm just thinking Mike playing like Tetris or something on the Game Boy. So as Mike runs through the woods, two gravestones just burst up from the ground right in front of him out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And again, he tells himself not to fear, and he runs past it.
He's like, don't fear. Bitch, that's scary.
You're scary shit. You're not in a cemetery. These come out of nowhere.
I do love he goes, don't fear. He takes one step. All of a sudden, the ground's like liquid mud, and hands are coming out grabbing. It's like, ah! It's fucking scary.
Yeah, it starts like muddy quicksand, and he's sinking in it as these Her hands.
Don't worry, fear is nothing. Holy shit! Man.
But he's able to break free, and he comes face to face with the blonde woman in the purple dress.
And he pulls the knife out of his. He's got the knife with him. He pulls it out of his.
And again, he's still saying, "Don't fear, don't fear," and he just walks past her. She doesn't do anything. He just stands
They're just
there.
they're kind of like got knives drawn on each other, and they're circling a little bit, but that's about it.
That's
Like
it.
he just kind of they
And she
it's
just
like
lets
they
him
had a
go.
little standoff.
Yeah, and she just walks away. Like, really?
All right.
Like you could at least have him stab the girl or something. Like, just why even? Okay, whatever. Just walk away. So, he runs out from the bushes and takes a moment to like survey his surroundings. And the tall man emerges from the bushes in front of Mike, who again turns and just runs. Tall man giving chase. They run past an overgrown sign that just reads "Mine Shaft," and he's running. Mike's running, and he leaps through the air. And really, it's really weird because based on the angle that they film this,
falls down.
It looks like he falls into a pit, but he's supposed to just be on the ground. It's really odd filming angle to choose.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the tall man runs over the camouflage mine shaft, which is really just a hole in the ground.
It really is. It's literally like
a
hole.
Yeah, which again, that wouldn't be a mine shaft. A mine shaft, you walk into, you go into a mine. This is a giant fucking hole in the ground. And it's the oldest trick in the book. I mean, this is the shit you saw all the time in Looney Tunes cartoons.
Right.
It's just a brown sheet over a hole that's it.
The tall man doesn't see it
Yeah.
and falls in, and he falls down the hole.
Yeah, and he tries to grab Mike's foot, but is unable to hold on, and he plummets down into the dark abyss. And then suddenly, a giant styrofoam boulders just begin falling from the sky.
And they all start falling perfectly
Into
into
the
the hole. They come bouncing down the side of this cliff face, and they bounce perfectly, and then one big one seals it.
Seals the deal.
One huge boulder just fits right in, sealing it tight.
And
Mike looks up, and Jody's at the top of the cliff
like
face.
a fucking guardian angel, his hands on his hip,
He's got the light behind him.
backlit, yeah.
He's like, "Ah!"
Stay on, yeah, and like it's like some kind of guardian angel,
Yeah.
religious. And it just cuts to Mike waking up in bed, and crossfade to Mike sitting in front of the fireplace next to Reggie.
Yeah.
And Mike's telling Reggie that he knows the rocks aren't going to hold him. And Reggie says, "Oh, you just had a bad dream. You've hardly slept since the funeral last week. It was just a nightmare." Mike goes on to say that he took mom and dad, and then he took Jody, and now he's coming for me. So what? Like, this is where it gets really fucking weird, and like, what
it
the
was
shit?
all a dream.
Reggie tells me the tall man of his did not take Jody away, that Jody died in a car wreck. Cut to a shot of Mike standing over Jody's grave, then back to Reggie telling Mike that it was all just a bad dream again. Reggie tells Mike he's not alone and I'll take care of him. And he's like, "Hey, you know what? Why don't the two of us get out of here? Let's hit the road for a couple weeks." So Mike's like, "Okay, let's do that." So Reggie sends Mike upstairs to go pack a few things for the trip. In his bedroom, Mike finds a picture of Jody, and I'm sorry, this is like the gayest looking picture, because Jody's like sprawled out on a bed, holding his guitar in one hand, like this small like white dog in the other, and a bottle of Dos Equis leaning up against his leg.
There's another Dos Equis like moment in the movie too.
It's when on the porch playing the guitars
yeah.
with Dos Equis. It's just a really weird, like, where's that dog? Like, they don't have a dog in this movie at all.
Well, apparently it was all a dream
Yeah,
anyway.
so
So why
Mike-
not? Let's throw a fucking dog in there.
He grabs the picture and tosses that with a few other things into like a bag, walks past his closet door, and in doing so he like bumps it, which closes the door. And we see the tall man standing in the mirror.
The reflection in the mirror.
And Mike sees the reflection, spins around. He's face to face with the tall man. The tall man just says, "Boy!" And the two hands, and these two hands break through the mirror, grab Mike, and the hands pull him into the dark void, screaming. Roll credits. What the fuck did I just watch? What?
I was so disappointed
I
when they're
know,
like,
it pisses me-
"It's all a dream. Jody's been dead. I'm Reggie, the guy who drives the ice cream
Truck.
around. Now I'm taking care of you."
Yeah, and
What?
you-
Huh? What?
Yeah. This movie angers me in so many ways, and I get it's a lot of people like this movie, and it's some people view it as a classic, and I'm probably people might say, "Oh, well, you just don't get it. You don't get it." I'm sorry, I shouldn't have to get my horror movies. This is not like a fucking Inception or God, what's that other movie, Leonardo DiCaprio in the Lighthouse or something? Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
Yeah, where it's like, what the fuck? No, just give me either it's a dream or not a dream. This is not Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
weird
like
shit.
they were like teasing with that a lot. Yeah.
It's just, it's fucking, I have more to say on that later. Let's go on. Let's move on to favorite kills.
There can be only one. Favorite kill?
Now, again, there's like no kills in this movie at
I,
all.
I think it's obvious.
There's only one kill.
My favorite kill is the sphere.
Yeah, it's the only one worth even talking about.
Yeah, classic moment in horror cinema, the sphere drilling into people's heads, and obviously it's been done in the sequels a lot because I think everyone just obviously there's nothing to do with the sphere. The movie doesn't focus on the sphere,
Which again pisses me off because the whole thing before I even watched this movie, all I knew about Phantasm was there's an old guy and the balls. Like everybody, the spheres. I'm like, okay, we're gonna see a lot of sphere stuff. And
the focus was the dwarves,
the dwarf man, yeah, the Jawas played.
The Jawas, they were like the focus. It's like they even said that's why there's this interdimensional portal, and that's why there's this. It was the dwarves. Those were the scary beasts, or the thing that the tall man commanded.
Yeah,
what the fuck was the sphere?
Yeah, where they come from? Why are they there? And like, if you're gonna focus on that, like they're there for like barely at all. They get one kill, and the other one gets blown up by a shotgun, and that's it.
Yeah, and then the kill is one of his henchmen.
Yeah.
Who the fuck was that guy?
Yeah, I guess,
the groundskeeper Willie?
Yeah, actually, in the credits, there's somebody listed as caretaker, so I'm guessing that's who it's supposed to be. But again, it's like, yeah, why not have the sphere do something else? Like, they could have killed the girls, like Susan or it's like Sally.
Well, obviously, the fans responded to Sphere because that's all it is in the sequel.
Yeah,
it's just Sphere action all over the place.
So yeah, I like everything about this. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, it's got to be the character. It's the only kill we're talking about. So it's kind of pointless to do that segment for this one, but well, we did it.
Sphere.
All right. So with that said, let's move into odds and ends.
Not only did they watch these films, they researched them too. Ugh, what is wrong with these guys?
All right, ratings. IMDb gives it a 6.9 out of 10, which is one of the higher scores of ones. Now, on Rotten Tomatoes, the scores there were for the remastered version, not the original 1979 version, so I'm not really counting it because other things like, oh, it's remastered. It's not, they're talking about it's not the original one, so I scooted forward. And Amazon gives it a 4.1 out of 5. Plot keywords, there were 71. I only wrote down 3, which was dwarf, attempted child strangulation.
Ooh, attempted child strangulation.
And moped. Which was not a moped at all.
Straight up Kawasaki!
Yeah, it's not a moped. So I'm like, all right, a moped. Moving on to trivia, there was a lot of trivia I found for this movie.
Nice.
Some of it I didn't even write all of it down because there's just too much, but I did write some of it. Some of the things that are more interesting. The genesis of the story, or the idea for the story, came from Don Coscarelli, the director's in a dream. He said one night.
Oh, you think?
You think? Yeah. He said one night in his late teens, he dreamt of fleeing down an endlessly long marble corridor pursued by a chrome sphere intent on penetrating his skull with a wicked needle. There's also a quite futuristic sphere dispenser out of which the orbs would emerge and begin chasing him.
Cool.
Yeah, like that would have been cool. Like, put that in the movie. Don also rented all the filming equipment used to make this movie. He always rented on a Friday so he could use it all weekend long and return on Mondays while only actually having to pay for one day's rental.
That's slick bastard.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. Although being very tall, staying at 6'4", Angus Strim wore suits several sizes smaller
to give him the
and boots that lifted inside to add an extra 3 inches to his height to make him
clever.
Yeah. The ball, quote unquote, the sphere scenes were simple special effects. The sphere was thrown from behind the camera by a baseball pitcher, and then the shot was printed in reverse. While the ball attaching itself to the man's head, it was filmed by sticking it on his head and then pointing off and printing that in reverse. Don Corselli got the idea of the tall man's living severed finger while drinking from a styrofoam cup. He punctured his finger through the bottom and started moving it around. He loved the visual effect of it and decided to include it in the story.
I kind of like this guy's style. Got bad dreams. I like poking my finger through cups.
In the scene before the funeral, Jody is confronted by the tall man for the first time in the mausoleum. Bill Thornberry, who plays Jody, was pretty much nearly as tall as Angus Shrim, so they had to put Shrim on an apple crate when they
He
filmed that
looks
scene.
ridiculously taller than.
Yeah, and that's the
in that
when they
scene.
do it behind,
Yeah,
he's like suddenly grew a foot.
Yeah.
The title was changed to The Never Dead for the Australian audiences as not to confuse it with the popular Aussie sex comedy World of Sexual Fantasy 1976, which was also known as Phantasma. Now this one I wrote down just for you because I thought it was you'd get kicked out
Oh
of this.
boy, I'm late. All right.
The song Ace of Spades 1980 from Motorhead was released the year after Phantasm 1979 and is reported, now take this for what it is, reported to have its origins from this film. At a New York screening of the movie, Lemmy was heard to have muttered that Mike's head looked like the Ace of Spades, and then spent much of the rest of the film writing out the lyrics in a notepad. He used the pencil he had been given him earlier that day by David Soul.
Huh.
Yeah, which when I look back, he does look like an Ace of Spades because he's got this long
Yeah.
hair that poofs out to the side and a pointy.
And a skinny neck.
Skinny neck.
And, you know, it's kind of got a big. His face isn't quite full.
No, he's a very narrow face, but when you add the hair, that
Yeah,
long
yeah,
hair,
kind of help. Man, that's a seems like a real stretch. That seems like such an odd connection. That
it says
perhaps it's
reported.
true.
Like
Yeah.
I nowhere know it, but I
could all
found
be
it
bullshit.
I
Who
found it
knows?
very interesting if that is the case.
Sure.
So I wanted to.
It's a weird one.
J.J. Abrams, everybody knows what that is. Basically revealed in an interview published by Entertainment that he came up with the name Captain Phasma, the stormtrooper, after seeing the chrome design of it reminded me of the ball in Phantasm. So the stormtrooper supposedly is based off the silver sphere in
Cool.
Phantasm. This was filmed at the same mansion location that was used in So I Married an Axe Murderer, the Mike Myers movie?
Yeah.
And Little Girls Blue, which is a very famous porn movie from the 70s. So that was
Well, yeah, there was obviously there's leftover like extras there. You know, the coccidal maniac. right? Yeah, she's like, I'm still here from what was the movie? Blue.
Little Girls Blue.
Girls Blue. Well, Little Girl blew my wiener. I just said wiener. I said blew my wiener.
Blew my wiener.
How old am I?
Yeah. So apparently at one point Entertainment Weekly ranked this as the 17th scariest film of all time, which makes me scratch my head. I don't think this is very scary because it's so goddamn confusing and like what is happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with scary, but I did find it, you know, like there's some jumps, there's some weird, creepy stuff, but I wouldn't say it was scary.
Yeah, the film was originally rated X by the MPAA because of the
Whoa.
famous silver sphere, the murder scene, the kill scene,
Awesome.
and because the man pissed himself after falling down dead. So that it was originally given an X rating for that.
Jeez.
After
They're really going aggressively
Yeah.
out of this movie.
After filming the scene where his character is killed by one of the silver spheres, Kenneth Jones, the actor, was too tired to have his makeup removed, so he drove home in it. And as he did, he was pulled over by a police officer who was naturally suspicious of him being covered in fake blood and didn't immediately buy his story of being an actor.
That's funny.
And the last one,
It's a lot of trivia.
well, there was a lot left
Yeah.
out. At the end, when Reggie comes out of the funeral home, the production installed, the wind machine with the huge fan blowing to create the effect of the very strong wind. As a joke, Michael Baldwin, who plays Michael, started throwing stones in front of the fan, which several went on to hit Reggie and Kathy Lester several times, pelting him with rocks.
What a dick.
What a dick.
Kid's riding his Kawasaki through a cemetery and he's throwing rocks at people. What an asshole.
Yeah, that is a dick move.
So wait. What's the actor's name?
Michael Baldwin, who played Mike.
Michael, huh?
Yeah, Michael Baldwin, and we have Reggie, who played Reggie.
Reggie.
They did not try very hard. So that wraps up trivia. So we now get to go into the budget game.
It's now time to play everyone's favourite game. Guess the budget.
All right.
All right, so budget for Phantasm. I almost stumbled over Phantasm, 1979. What do you got?
All right. We know that he had to be used cheap. He was doing it on a budget. It's pretty obvious, considering we know that he rented the equipment. He didn't even own any equipment. 79.
To 79.
Too bad. It's tough to tell, man. It's a tough guess.
It gets
It's
hard, especially
79
like,
money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
79.
so
The older
long
it gets
ago.
harder to guess. I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's $300,000 for Phantasm. Let's move on to 5-star reviews.
These special movies have a place in these special people's hearts. 5-star reviews.
I'm sure there's a ton of them.
There were 36 pages of 5-star reviews on Amazon.
Yeah. That's a lot of people liking this movie.
And I went through all 36 pages. It took me forever.
That's some commitment.
Now, but here's the problem. A lot of these, it was really weird because again, the reviews were kind of a mixed bag of reviewing this movie and reviewing the remastered version, and some was just reviewing reviewing some of the sequels. Like it wasn't just Phantasm.
Just Phantasm as a series.
Yeah, it was really weird trying to isolate some of these. Now, some of these are a little. Actually, wrote down. Let's see, 1, 2, 4 of. I only wrote down 4 of the 5-star reviews, and then I moved on to some of the 1-star reviews just because to cover both spots. From Jack Submit at hotmail.com. So if you have any problem with him, you can
we know exactly where you're at,
reach
Jack.
him out. I like the part where that girl turned into the tall man and killed that guy in the cemetery. I think the tall man is cool. I think they should make a movie where the tall man tries to do something normal, such as try out for a county bowling league, playing a pinball machine, playing blackjack in Las Vegas, drinking a beer at the pub, playing lead guitar with a local band, working as a short order cook at a diner, or being an ice cream man. 5 stars.
That's the weirdest one.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. Like, he really named some random shit. Like, being a nurse at the hospital, fishing off of Long Island,
Painting his house on a Saturday morning.
Right. Dude. What other random things can we say? You can go all day.
Yeah, it's so weird. And then from a customer, this is, by the way, all caps.
Oh, boy.
And so, get this movie. It has a cute boy in it. 5 stars.
Don't know if that's from a boy or girl.
Just a customer.
A customer.
And then from another customer, this movie has probably one of the most stupid plots ever. The acting is okay, but somehow it gets under your skin. Partly due to the excellent soundtrack, which doubles the creepiness of the movie. Who would have thought a movie about grave robbing midgets would be so damn scary? Just trying to think about how dumb it is when you watch it. 5 stars.
You kind of nailed it.
Yeah, I love that one. And the last one, Richard Vera just writes, "Too expensive" with 7 exclamation marks behind it, which I don't get.
Maybe to rent it, to
Like if
buy
you
it?
bought it, maybe you spent too much money for it. But again, if it's too expensive,
5 stars.
5 stars. It's super expensive.
I love buying expensive things.
Yeah. Now, just because I had mixed feelings on this movie. I did want to go to the 1-star reviews where there are 6 pages of 1-star reviews. So,
Wow.
Granted,
Again, a
36,
lot.
but there's a lot of
1 stars, yeah.
So these are a little bit longer, but some of them are are just kind of worth it. Actually, I think it's just one.
One super long.
It's one. I wrote down
bitch
one
fest.
because it's wow. I read it down for a reason, so just sit tight. From E. Valero, a sinister tall man with incredible strength and yellow blood steals cadavers from the cemetery, shrinks them, and transports them via a trampoline to a red planet where they become his slaves for reasons not made clear. Add in an annoying, snooping teenager, his handsome but wooden older brother, and a plastic fly with glowing eyes, and you have possibly the lamest horror film ever made, and definitely one of the most overrated. After reading all of the positive reviews posted here, I did the unthinkable and purchased this film before actually viewing it. What a big mistake. I am a big horror fan, and my taste in horror films is not limited. My taste range from the classic Exorcist, Poltergeist, Halloween, to B-movie favorites, Zombie, House by Cemetery, Ghost Story, but I have to be brutally honest. Phantasm has got to be the most boring movie I've ever seen. I tried watching on several occasions, my guess over 15 times, and I cannot sit through it. It is a bore fest, and I cannot recommend it to anyone. I have to agree with Leonard Malton's half-star review, but I think even he was being generous. This film's pacing is agonizingly slow, the acting is stiff and uninspired, the story laughable, and the special effects are poor. However, considering the film's budget, the effects are at times clever, although not always successful. I personally don't have a problem with low-budget horror films. As a matter of fact, some of my all-time favorites are the low-budget films. This film does not make any sense. It tries to be creative, but the ideas are incoherent at best. The scene with the obnoxious kid is almost transported to the red planet via some vortex is so outrageously funny as the scene with the incredibly unrealistic flying insect with the glowing eyes. I understand the film didn't have much of a budget, and I will give some credit to the effect team since some of the effects came out very well. The scene where a man's face is drilled in by a flying silver sphere, but how can we ignore those lame scenes? The film, as evidenced by the reviews posted on the site, has a cult following, but for those of you who are not fans, please view with caution as you may end up disliking it as much as I did. I have tried watching this turkey by myself sober, myself drunk, my friends sober, with my friends drunk, with my family members sober, with my family members drunk.
Got a drinking problem, brother.
To no avail. I was told repeatedly to turn the thing off and put something else on. I know I will probably get about 100 unhelpful votes from the fans, but so be it. This movie is bottom of the barrel and only good for a few unintentional laughs. Skip it, people, because you have better ways to spend your money. If it's chills you're looking for, you're better off watching an episode of Fear Factor because you're just not going to find it any here. 1 star.
Shout out to Joe Rogan, Fear Factor,
Fear
huh?
Factor. It kind of dates the review, too, but
Yeah. But man, that guy really did not like the movie. Sounds
Yeah.
like he really tried too.
Yeah, he really did try. So that's
On
the
that
1 star.
note,
Yeah.
on that note, that kind of brings us to our review.
Yeah.
Is it so bad it's good, so bad it's scary? I'm gonna throw it back to you, Marshall. You always throw it to me. What did you think?
Oh, I see what you do. The reverser.
Flip it a floppa.
I'm with the 1 star guy. I'm saying so bad it's scary. Just because. Well, I'm not gonna say just because, but I had higher hopes for this going in because I remember as a kid always going to the video store and seeing it there. I never was actually able to rent it at the time. I never got around to it. But I was like, oh, I've always known about it. These flying spheres. It's supposed to be a classic. This could be decent. And I was so disappointed and let down that there's basically only 1 kill in this whole movie. Well, 2 if you count Tommy at the beginning getting stabbed, and maybe Reggie getting stabbed. But he's alive. He's not. You don't fucking know. And the fact that it's so weird, like the guy said, incoherent. Like you never know what's going on. And people say, well, you don't get it. You won't understand what they're going for. And I get at some point there's okay to have some suspense and some mystery and like leave the viewers question at some point. But this to me does it too much. Like when it's over, I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch? What happened? To me, that's a bad sign. Like I can understand, like, okay, what's real, what's not, but wrap it up in some way to make it not so mind-numbingly confusing and like it just angered me to the point where like this was awful. I really expected more screen time and from the spheres. I thought they'd be doing more damage, running amok, killing more people, not just one hapless caretaker. So I was heavily disappointed. So bad it's scary. I did not like it.
I'm going to say so bad it's good.
Oh.
So bad it's good. And then the thing was, I mean, yeah, it was trippy. It was discombobulating, it felt like. Like, you didn't exactly know what was happening. And there were so many different cuts and different things, like what's going on with the weird tarot reading people, Star Child, and the different dimension, and the midgets, and the tall man, and the weird sniffing scene, and this... So ice cream man, like there's so many weird things about this movie. The ending was just kind of like what just happened, but it left me wanting more.
See,
I wanted to see more of what was like.
Okay.
I kind of like the ride I was on
because
it was a fucked up ride. I'm not saying it was great. I'm not saying it was like
it
I was
definitely
just
leaves you with more questions than answers.
Yes,
and that's for sure. But all right,
But I wanted to keep going.
Really?
I wanted to keep going. I was like, okay. Oh, now it's over. All right. I mean,
Huh.
obviously I was watching it and I was kind of pressed for time, so I was kind of like checking the times from time to time, like, okay, it's ending soon. But even when it ended, I was like, oh, okay. For some reason, I wanted a little bit more. It was, I don't know. I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, that's your opinion. I can't fault you for that. It's your opinion.
And I totally see where you come from. But I just,
maybe we'll get around to doing the sequel and see how that lives up and what actually happens. Because I've never seen. This is the first time I've seen any of the Phantasm movies.
Me too. I know it's like funny because we've been people who've watched horror before, but
never got around to this
just
one.
Never really jumped on the Phantasm.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to the sequel sometime soon and see if that answers any of these fucking weird ass questions that it leaves with, or if it just gets weirder and who knows what. But
You know what's probably going to happen is you're going to like it and I'm going to hate it.
that would be a poetic justice. So and that's good. We'll wrap it up here for this week. Remember, if you have any suggestions or comments, hit us up on our Facebook page or Twitter or whatever. Let us know. We're always taking suggestions and feedback. So thanks, Moon Goons, for listening. We appreciate it. In the meantime, watch more horror movies and always remember to keep it tight.
Ooh.